Evangelism. My husband always says we are the key to create an evangelistic atmosphere. If we don't do it, nobody else will. The Lord is depending on us to do our part. The foundation of congregational evangelism can be found in our 6 steps model. I want to introduce you to some of the ways that you as women can help in congregational evangelism. We all have a role to play, and we need to use our talents. We can be involved from the youngest to the oldest. Where will you fit in this model? The first ingredient under contacts could be door knocking. Door knocking reaches those who are unchurched and those who we do not know. In Revelation 3:20 it reads, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to him and will sup with him and he with me." I realize, ladies, this is probably one of the hardest things that we do when it comes to evangelism. It doesn't come natural for me to go knock on a door. My husband always is trying to get me to stop hiding behind him. He says, "They don't want to see me. You have got to come out." I'm like, "No, I'm fine right behind you." He says, "No, Nicole, you've got to come out. They've got to see you too." So I know, ladies, it's not something that is easy for all of us. But if we do it right, it is a very effective way of evangelism. I realize that we can't do door knocking like we used to in the 50s, 60s, 70s. It doesn't work in these days and times. I know over the years, even when we were doing it, we would see how discouraged the congregation would get every time we go door knocking, and we would door knock for hours upon hours, and of course we were inviting them to services, and nobody ever showed up. And then that's when the concept came, well, it doesn't work. And so we've learned a lot about door knocking, especially when we came out of full-time work. We started the American Mission campaigns that we started them in 2021. It was Austin Fowler who came to us and said, "Why can't we do mission work here in our own our country?" And Rob and I had always been kind of wondering that ourselves, that we'd always kind of thrown that up, and 2020, when everything shut down, that gave us something to really think about. Why can't we do it here in our own country? And so that's when we started the American Mission Campaign. And it was very successful. We had over 100 people from all over come to help us with this. And we have learned so much more how to do this effectively. When we go door knocking now, we have about a 35% of contacts we get from those that we knock on their door. And so we've learned too, I know when we used to door knock, it used to be how many doors we could knock. But that's not the case anymore. When we go door knocking, you may be at a door for an hour. That's okay. People are lonely and they just want to talk to you. If you show interest in them, it's amazing, ladies, what you're going to learn about them just standing at their door. And so one of the things that we do when we go door knocking is we want to advertise something that the local church is doing for the local community, whether it's a VBS, a community, some kind of community outreach, something that is going to be directly towards them. And I'm going to talk more about that here in a few minutes. But when we do that, we get more success when we go to the door. When we ask them if there's somebody we can pray for, it's amazing the response you get from that as well. And so we, as I said, when we do these things, it's amazing the contacts you get at the door. I'll never forget when we did two in 22. We did it at Carnes in Knoxville, and then we did the other one in Covington. And I'll never forget at Carnes, we had only gone within maybe a mile of the church building, and we literally had a stack full of contacts. The elders looked at us and said, can we do something other than door knock? This is going to take us too long to get to these people. But we literally had a stack of probably 200 to 300 contacts that we had made. And so they knew it was going to take them some time to go through all these contacts. And as you heard, they had 24 last year. As of to date, they're up to 44 this year. And so we know, ladies, door knocking works. And then this year we were able to go to Cary, North Carolina, and as we went about a mile around that building, and it was amazing how many contacts we got there as well. And then we went to Cleburne, Texas, and so and we had much success there as well. And I'll tell you some of the results here in a few minutes about that one. And so next year we plan on going to Collinsville, Illinois, and also Hampton, Virginia. What it is when we do these campaigns, you're learning our techniques like you have learned through the seminar, but we go out and teach you how to do them. So it's a hands-on training when you come. And so it really helps people to get a better idea of what we're teaching through the school. And so these are just two great opportunities that you can go and learn about how to do door knocking. We also, of course, do House to House does the annual door knocking campaign in October, which we were actually in Coweta, Oklahoma at the time, and we'd gone back and done an advanced seminar for them. And the one request the preacher said, he asked us, he said, can y'all stay and help us door knock? And so we did. We trained them how to door knock, and they were so excited because actually as a result of that door knocking, 2 have already obeyed the gospel from it. So ladies, it does work. We just have to do it. And as I said, we can teach you ways to do it more effectively. And also you can go to our YouTube channel to learn more tips on door knocking. These are just excellent ways for congregations to start and learn how to do it more effectively. And as I said, of course, we would always do this once a year at Willette. And we came across Gary Williamson and invited him to our services. He came one Sunday, and we found out that he was an erring Christian. He had been away from the church for over 20 years. Rob and Nick Jones studied with him using the One Method Study Does It Matter. He then asked to be restored. We would have never found Gary if we did not knock on his door. Door knocking reaches those who are cold contacts. The second ingredient in the model under contacts could be new movers. What is a new mover, you might think? Well, it is a program that you can get through House to House, and you have an average of 31 that move into your area each month. So that kind of gives you an idea of how many that you could prepare for if you wanted to get involved into this work. And ladies, it's been amazing the results that we're hearing from this. We have learned one thing is if we're the first to go out to them and meet them, they're going to be more than likely to come and visit us for even where they were before. And so if we take them a gift, they're going to come and visit you and see who you are, because they're not used to that. And so when I heard of this work, we had never done this when we were at Willette. This was something that was really new to us. And so I said, well, I'm the type, I don't like to go to the door and just introduce myself. I want something in my hands to give them. So I thought, okay, what can I do to welcome a new visitor? In your packet, you're going to see a list of cleaning supplies, household items, and food items. So this just kind of gives you an idea of some things that you can take to a new mover. I'm going to show you option 1 in the cleaning supplies. And what I do is I go to your Dollar Tree and get a basket, and I put things in like paper towels, a kitchen cleaner, a bathroom cleaner, dishwashing soap, toilet bowl cleaner, toilet bowl brush, Clorox, trash bags, and then lastly, I get some kind of cleaning cloth. But if you ladies know how to crochet or knit these dishcloths to make it more personable, put that in there, because I know that some of you, that may be your talent. That could be something that you could do, and so do that. As I said, make it as personable as you can. Also, you want to make sure that you put some kind of brochure, the house to house. This congregation just had a packet, and that's what they put in their basket, so that they would have the information about the congregation. And so we also encourage you, go to your local businesses, get their business card, people that you trust, maybe a contractor, a plumber, a mechanic, a doctor. One congregation said they work for the DMV, so they were going to put that information in there. So anything that you can think of that would be helpful for somebody that has just moved in, put that in there, so that they will know who they can trust. Because I know when we moved to Jacksonville, I had no idea who we should go to call to fix our vehicles or whatever it was. So these were just some things that can be helpful for them. And this is also a great way for you ladies to come together and put these baskets together, so that you'll have them ready for when they need to be delivered. Also, when you get the list, it is not 100% accurate. It is about probably 70% accurate. What I mean by this is it could be a dress that they give you, and it could be a piece of land and that somebody has purchased. So one congregation told us they were having so much problems with it, their idea was to go to Zillow and type that address in to see if it was actually a new mover or not. I was like, wow, that's a great idea. So I thought, I'm going to take that with me. That way it's not as stressful for you because it was kind of stressful for people, because you never know when you go to a door if it is actually a new mover or not. Because my children, this is one of the works they really enjoy doing, and my children came back home one day and said, Mom, this person has lived here for 35 years. Why are they going up on the new movers list? And I said, well, I don't know. Why don't you ask somebody if this ever happens again? Well, finally, they came across another one, and they finally said, well, why do you think you would have come up in a new movers? And they said, oh, well, we did just pay off our house. Maybe that's why. And that's what it was. When they go through the system, evidently, it becomes a new mover. And so maybe that will take some of that out when you go to Zillow and type in the address. Maybe that helps in that way as well. But I know that one congregation said, well, if that happened to them, they were going to have a different basket, and give them a congratulations on buying your home. So there's a lot of things that we can do for this, but also they're also going to tell you the name of the people that moved in. Please don't go to their house and address them by their name. And the reason I say that is because people get offensive. They're like, how'd you know that? Where'd you get that information from? How do you know I'm a new mover? You know, my children, you can ask my children, these things have happened, and so we try to prepare you in advance to make it smoother. So what we suggest is when you go to the door, you tell them who you are. Just say, you know, we've heard you've just moved into the area, and we brought you a gift. It goes so much smoother when you do that. And so these are just some little tips on this, so it's not stressful on y'all. Also, I'm sure here y'all have gated communities, right? I'm sure you do. If you do not force your way in. Be mindful of that gate unless you live there. Now, if you live there, that's a different story. I've heard of people say they get in behind a car so they can get in. Please don't do that. We don't want the church to look bad. If that is the case, and we still want to reach out to them, so what we suggest is to go and get a gift card from one of your local restaurants, or even Lowe's or Home Depot, or one of those, something that would be useful for them as well. And also, when you go to a door and you get a good response, meaning they say, oh, we're looking for a church home, that's when you know that is a good prospect. You want to make sure that you bring that address to whoever's going to be in charge of your prospect list, because when they say that, we want their name, address, so we can put them on this list, because they've already got the basket. Now we can start sending them cards as a congregation, and showing them that we truly are compassionate people. And so these are just some of the ways that you can do the new movers. Also, the best way, best time, because a lot of times we'll be asked, well, when's the best time to go and deliver new movers baskets? One thing that we've learned is if you do it on a Sunday afternoon, most people are home then. And so that way you're actually getting to talk to somebody. And so Saturdays are hit and miss with everybody's schedules. You can do it on Saturdays, but we found that Sunday afternoon is the best. And it's amazing with talking to the congregations that the children, this is one of the work children enjoy, teenagers, they enjoy this work. And so my children love it. And so, but that's just some little things that we have done and that other congregations have done with this work as well. Let me introduce you to Miss Kim Bullock. Miss Kim had moved to Jacksonville, and she was looking for a church home. And she had received house to house, because when they go through the system, they're going to immediately get a new movers edition that's going to have all your information about your congregation right here. And she had received this, and she called the church office, and because she didn't have a ride to services. And so as soon as the secretary found out where she lived, she was able to go and get one of our baskets and take it to her and welcome her to the community. And then we as ladies started picking her up and getting to know her and bringing her to services. Now, not only did she receive that, but a couple weeks later, then they're going to receive another postcard, and then it's got your information as well. So they're getting a lot of information from the church, and that's what we want them to do. And so she started coming, and we were getting to know her by taking her out to eat, the things that you've learned through the seminar. And the thing that we found out about Miss Kim was she was an erring Christian, and she had been away for many, many years. But one thing that we did realize, that these acts of kindness, we were sending cards, we were taking her out to eat, we were bringing her to services, that opened to her heart so that we could do the Bible study. We used Does It Matter, since she needed to be reminded of her first love. She then was restored and is now a faithful member of the church. The third ingredient under contacts could be doing some kind of community outreach to let your community know you care and where you are located. We should try to develop favor in our community. In Acts 2:47 it reads, praising God and having favor with all the people, and the Lord added to the church daily such as should be saved. At Jacksonville, we would do 3 meals a year. We would do the shrimp broil, then we would also do the big pig day, and then we would do the chicken and hot dog days of summer. Now, sometimes congregations will do a back to school backpack drive. They'll do a community meal. They'll do feeding the first responders. There's a lot of things that congregations will do throughout the year for their local community. And so this was something that we never really truly were involved in at Willette. So we learned a lot when we went to Jacksonville and saw how that they did their meals. One thing is, when you do something for the community, make sure to advertise, whether it's on the back of your house to house, because this is your page back here. Advertise it on this. Go door knocking and personally invite them to whatever it is you're having. At Jacksonville, they had postcards made up for us to hand deliver to our friends and family to come to our meal. And so there's a lot of ways that we can reach out to our community. One thing is, we must strive to have a good reputation for the non-Christian. Our community needs to know that we care about them. One thing that we learned at Cleburne when we were there, we did a community meal, and the number one question is, how many people do you expect come? That's one of the, because we don't want to run out of food. So when we were in Cleburne, we decided we would keep account of how many cards. We had cards that we took to our neighbors, and we door knocked, so we had a count. So it took about 195, I think it was. That's how many that we went out and invited to our meal. 89 showed up. It took that many invites to get 89, 10% ladies. So that kind of gives you an idea of kind of what to expect when you do this, because it is nerve-wracking. We want to make sure we have enough food for people. And so we were even a little nervous because, we had a lot of people from the campaign that was there, and then their members, and then we had 89 visitors. So we had not had that result before. When we did it in Cary, our most at Cary was about 25. And so I was overwhelmed when we had 89 show up. And I felt like I really wasn't prepared, because one thing is you're trying to make contacts with people, and I always like to give them a little gift when they come in. Well, I ran out at 25 because I didn't think I'd ever need any more than 25, but I said, well, I'm going to be more prepared next time, because I'm going to know how many cards are going out. That way I will kind of have an idea. It was amazing turnout, ladies, but that just kind of helps us when we do things, a community outreach. Also, when you're doing these, we want to get their information. So one of the ways at Jacksonville, we would sit with somebody that we didn't know, and we would get to know them and get that information from them. That way we could keep in contact with them through the year and invite them to other things that we were doing for the community. And so we've done several different things, and as I said, AMC has really helped us. We did a back-to-school backpack drive there, and the thing that we did there is what we normally hear. I went to the elders and said, well, how do you normally do this? And the normal response that we get is, oh, we've got our backpacks, they drive through, get their backpack, and on they go. And Rob's like, wait a minute, can we do something different? Because we're not seeing, they're never coming back, they're just going to come for whatever we're given, and then they're gone. We're not getting that contact information. So we decided we were going to try something different. So basically what we did was we based it kind of off of an open house idea. And so we would have them come in, we'd introduce ourselves, kind of show them around the building, figure out what age the child was, take them to their classroom where they would be attending when they come to services, have the teacher and some of the children in there so that they could interact with the children, and that way we could get that information from them. And then we would have treats after that. Because the main purpose of our community outreach is to get that information from them. And so when we do these things, like I said, we can give all day long, but if we're not making contact with people, it's not doing us any good, is it? Because they're not going to come to us. And so that's very important when we do these meals or backpack drives, whatever you're doing. We had a whole family obey the gospel from coming to one of our meals. And as I said, just make sure, either way you do it, you make contact with those people. Start building that relationship with them. Get their information, because that is so important. You may have to try several things to find out what is going to work best for you. Not all things that work for one congregation will work for others. Be patient and things will work out for the best. The main thing is that you are looking for that honest and humble heart. The fourth and last ingredient under contacts could be how we treat our visitors when they come through the door. When a visitor comes through the door, what do they normally want to do? They don't want to be surrounded, do they? They're nervous a lot of times, and the first thing, they just want to find their seat. So what we encourage through the school is we have those that are trained to be our greeters, and that way you let them sit down, let them get comfortable. Then those that are trained will come and introduce themselves, see where they're from, get to know them, see if they're a local visitor or not. And if they are, we want to make sure that we have a gift for them as well. And so I know a lot of times congregations say, visitors, please fill out the card in the pew back in front of you. Well, how many times does that work? Normally, they're not going to do that. Lately, I have been seeing at congregations, they got the QR code. And I asked them, I said, well, are they doing that? And they said, no, they're not doing that either. And so I had to come up with an idea, okay, how can we get this information and it not be so awkward? And so what we encourage through the school is those that are the greeters, they go and sit down either beside them, in front of them, behind them, wherever you feel the most comfortablest, and talk to them, get to know them, so that you can get that information from them. And so this is another great way for you ladies to work together, is by making and buying things for a visitor bag. And so we're going to need your help to get them assembled. Maybe write welcome on the bag, decorate the bag, whatever it may be. Ladies, you can see there's a lot of work for us to do, and we just have to figure out where we are going to fit in. And so that's why I hope tonight to be able to help you know where you can fit in this model. In Romans 16:16 it reads, "Salute one another with a holy kiss. The churches of Christ salute you." And as I said, I go to the Dollar Tree, but there's other places you can find things that are still $1. Dollar General still has a lot of this stuff for $1, because that quarter can add up very quickly. So, and see, I just get a bag, and then I just stencil welcome. There may be some girls or ladies here, that may be their talent. They enjoy writing and decorating a bag. I know at Jacksonville, one month we had our children decorate the bags. So there's a lot of ways that we can get our children and us involved in this. And I buy things like a notebook. Now, if you've got a notepad with the church's name on it, use that. But if not, buy some kind of a journal or notebook, and on the back you can put an address label of the name of the church and the address and phone number on there as well. That's in your packet. There is a list of the things that I put in my bag so that you will remember that as well. An ink pen. If you have an ink pen with the church's name on it, put that in there. Mints, lotion, gum, chapstick, Kleenex, hand sanitizer, and lastly, I try to find either a cup or a sports bottle, whatever it is that you want to do. Get some kind of cup. And does anybody know what a cricket is? Okay. So you're probably going to know what I'm going to say. Go and get the vinyl stickering, print out the name of the congregation and the logo. A lot of congregations will have some kind of logo, and they will cut it out and they'll put it on their cups. That way they kind of remember where they got their cup or sports bottle from. And also, so when you realize that this is somebody that's visiting from the local area, this is when you can pull that card out, because that card, your contact card, should be in this bag as well. You can pull it out and you can fill it out, or they can fill it out, whichever way they feel the most comfortablest, but make sure that you can read it, because we don't want to send it to the wrong address, and we definitely don't want to spell somebody's name wrong. And so if they're a little bit hesitant, because sometimes people are hesitant about giving out that information, what we do is we say we are a card-sending congregation. And normally when you say that, they're more than willing to give you that information. But sometimes that can be very awkward. But when, as I said, if you say that, they're going. Who doesn't enjoy getting a card? We all enjoy getting that. So, when we get that information, here again is when we want that information, and we want them be able to put them on our contact list, so we can immediately start sending them cards, thanking them for visiting, and welcoming them back. In this picture, you're going to see Perry and Ellen. They had been visiting Jacksonville, and Rob and I went and introduced ourselves to them. And as you know, a lot of times when you meet somebody, you can't learn a whole lot about somebody when you're just getting to know them, and especially in a church building. I don't know, they put their shields up and they won't hardly talk to you. But when you get them out of this church building, it's amazing how much you can learn about somebody. And so we invited them out to eat to get to know them. And so they came, and as you can tell, Rob is always trying to figure out, okay, what do we have in common with each other? And it just so happened that Perry loved football. And he's a big Alabama fan, and that was a Sunday, and that Monday was going to be the championship game. And of course Alabama wasn't in it, but he was still going to watch the game. So Rob said, I'm getting kicked under the table at this time. My children are knowing, Mom, be ready, here it comes, Dad's fixing to invite them over. Of course I already know this, but he did. He said, well, why don't y'all come to our house and we can watch the game and get to know you a little bit better. And he looks over at Ellen and he says, can we do that? Ladies are not used to being invited into somebody's home. And she says, well, I don't know why we can't. And so they came over, and we were watching the game and getting to know them a little bit more. And we had learned that they had been going back and forth to these two denominations that they had been raised in, and that they just basically told us, they said they're getting further and further away from the Bible, and we wanted to find a congregation that followed the Bible. And so Rob says, well, what brought you to the church here? Knowing that they lived across town from where the church building was. And I'll never forget what she said. In 1999, when we moved to Jacksonville, we started receiving house to house, heart to heart. Ladies, it took them 21 years to ever step foot into our building, but we're so thankful they did, because that gave us the opportunity to build that relationship with them and start studying with them. And so we started those studies, and we were able to baptize them both. But not only were we able to baptize them, we were also able to baptize their son and daughter-in-law as well. After building a friendship with them and showing that we cared about them, they were willing to do the Bible study with us. The visitor bags helps us know who is visiting and who is a potential Bible study. The first ingredient under prospects could be sending cards to those who are sick, someone who's dealing with cancer, someone who may have had recent surgery, someone that needs encouragement, or lost a family member. In page 106 of your simplified book, you are going to find the page that says Finding Prospects. Rob gives you a list of 35 people that we're looking for, that we want to show compassion to. We realize that in everybody's lives, the doors of opportunity open and shut very quickly. And we're looking for that time that door is open so that we can send them some cards from the congregation. It is important to show compassion to those that we want to reach. Now I will explain some of the ways we prospect all the contacts. In Jude 22 it reads, "And of some have compassion, making a difference." This, ladies, is another place that we need your help. We need names of people in our lives that may need some compassion. When you realize that and you think, oh, this is going to be a good prospect, we need their information so that we can put it on our list and we can start sending them cards. And remember, we don't want to send one card with 30 signatures. We want to send 35 cards within the week. That way they're getting 4 or 5 cards a day in their mailbox. And they're going to start looking forward to going to their mailbox because somebody has written them, taken the time to write them those little sweet messages. And it's amazing, ladies, the reports that we receive. The one that will be going out tomorrow and reaching the lost, just about every one of those reports had a baptism due to our compassion cards. It's so encouraging because this is something we all can do, from the youngest to the oldest. We can all send a card, can't we? And we want to make sure that we write our name, because I know I've had people, they've been a little bit not sure about whether they should write their name. Write your name. Let them know who you are, but make sure you write the name of the congregation too, so because they're not going to know you. But if you can put the name of the church, they're going to say, oh, that church has been so kind to send us these cards. We want to make sure, as I said, we don't want to mail all these cards out on one day. We want on Mondays. We want to space them out. That way it's more effective. And we want to get as many cards as we can to them. Because sometimes they're going to be curious and they're going to want to say, who is this that's sending me these cards? So they may come and visit you. But if not, it may be that you might be asked to go and visit them, check on them, see how they're doing. That's what we call a transition, that we transition from the cards to just checking on them to see what needs they have. And it's been amazing, the reception we're getting from that as well. And so one thing is, don't ever underestimate that power of that card, because it's going to mean so much to them when they receive those cards in their mailbox every day. In this picture here is Miss Tony Adams. When we met Miss Tony, she called the congregation and she needed a ride to services. And so it just so happened that our associate preacher, he lived close by to her, and so he started picking her up, getting to know her, and Cade calls us and says, I need your help. This lady I'm picking up, she's a sweet lady, but she's got a lot of questions, and I know I'm not supposed to answer them, but I'm having a hard time not wanting to answer them. He's a high school teacher, so he said, well, we'll start picking her up, when we get in, because we wanted to meet her and get to know her. And she's a very interesting lady. One thing, I noticed she would always talk about baptism, because she was seeing baptism everywhere in the building, and so I could just tell something wasn't always. She was just very concerned about this, and so as we were getting to know her, and we took her out to eat, bringing her back and forth to home. As I said, we were able to get that first study with her. And then after that first study, and we learned more about Miss Tony, her siblings wanted her to move back to Alabama. She grew up in Alabama, but she married and moved away to Indiana. And so they encouraged her to move back home so they could help take care of her. And so, and that was her plans, and she was hoping, that they would follow through with this. And as soon as her siblings realized she was coming to church, they weren't going to have anything to do with her. And so she was there by herself, and she told us, she said, I cannot stand to be in this house, this apartment any longer. This apartment is going to kill me, staying in it all this time, or I'm going to get out, one or the other. And so she was longing for friendship. And so we were able to build that relationship with her. We learned a lot about her, and as we were learning, her sisters were very involved in the Jehovah's Witness. So she had lots of questions about that. She told us, I don't believe any of this stuff because it just doesn't even sound right, but I just need to ask questions about it. And of course, we're deferring all these questions at the time. And as we did the survey, one thing that we learned about the survey, that she was sprinkled in the Salvation Army Church. Ladies, it is a church. I did not realize that they sprinkled, but that is something I guess they practice. And so we were able to do that first study, and after that first study, she came down with COVID. The church did her job. We were sending her cards. We were taking food to her. Whatever Miss Tony needed, we were going to be there. We called and checked on her. We were praying a lot during this time. It was about 3 months until she was able to come back to services. And so it was a very hard time. Her family was going to have nothing to do with her, help her, or anything. And so we realized we are her family. We're going to take care of her, and we did. And so after she got better, she called us and says, I'm ready to come back to services. I'm ready to do those studies. And so we started those studies again. And at the third study, I'll never forget, when she realized she was lost, and she knew what she needed to do to become a Christian, that she needed to be baptized. I'll never forget. She looks up at Rob and says, Rob, I know I need to be baptized, but I'm scared to death of water. And he says, Miss Tony, I haven't lost one yet. And she just laughed. And so in order to help her with that, we got the assistant preacher to come, Cade, to help with the baptism. So, because we explained to her, that they were going to do this very quickly. But I have never seen a lady so nervous as she was. She was just shaking so bad. And so Rob, they got her down into the water, and I'll never forget, he says, now, Miss Tony, close your eyes, close your mouth. We're going to do this as quickly as we can. I mean, the minute he put her down into the water, her mouth went wide open. All the water rushed in, and I was like, oh no, this is not good. This is not good. She comes up, and she's, of course, coughing, and when she pulled herself together, she looks up at Rob and says, Rob, you tried to kill me. We love Miss Tony. She's very special to our family. She's one of the ones that will be in my house in Thanksgiving and Christmas. We had one Christmas, she actually came to spend the night at our house, and we stayed up till 2 o'clock in the morning playing. We were doing puzzles and just talking, and she had the best time. And that's the first thing she asked this year when we asked her over for Thanksgiving, can I come over for Christmas? Can I spend the night? Because she wanted to do that again. That meant a lot to her that we would do that. And so our converts know that our home is always open to them, and they do become like family. And so that's a special bond that you will have with those that you have converted. We realize that when Miss Tony was receiving all the cards and the love that we had showed her, that was the first step towards the Bible study. The second ingredient under prospects could be when you see a visitor come in, always invite them out to eat. Because ladies, when they come and you do that, they know that you really care about them. Because I promise, they're not getting that invitation anywhere else. And so if you do that, that helps to break a lot of the ice with them, and you can get to really know who they are. And normally, a lot of times when they come for the first time, they usually have other plans, but you always tell them that that invite is still open for when they come and visit again. In Luke 5:30-31, it reads, "But their scribes and Pharisees murmured against his disciples, saying, Why do you eat and drink with publicans and sinners? And Jesus answering said unto them, They that are whole need not a physician, but they that are sick." Even Jesus ate with sinners and publicans, and we need to too. The impact this has on a visitor is usually one that they will never forget. One thing this, has taught me, of course, when we were in full-time work, I would always invite them into my home at first. But now it was because we knew somebody that knew them. When we moved to Jacksonville and nobody knew a lot of these people, I told Rob I don't really feel comfortable inviting them into my home just yet. So that's why we started taking them out to eat first, to get to know them, and then that way they would feel comfortable and we would feel comfortable if we did invite them into our home. So normally after we built that friendship the second time, we would have them in our home. One thing is, if you do have them in your home, ladies, work together. Do this as a team. It's hard on one family to do this. This is one thing I wish I had gotten more of the ladies at Willette involved in this to help me. Yes, I had my children. I'm thankful for their help, but I wished I had also included some of them as well. Whether it may be that they come in and wash the dishes after you eat, or prepare a part of the meal, whatever it may be, work together. It's also good for them to meet somebody else in the congregation, because I'm going to talk about mentoring, and that way it's more comfortable when you do kind of let them go to somebody else and then they start mentoring them, and then when they do that, they already kind of know them, so it's going to be a little bit more easy transition as well. Because I know I'm the type, I can't stand dirty dishes in the sink before, or my food sitting out that long. So just having somebody there to put that food up and washing the dishes, that helps as well. So ladies, there's lots of things that we can do when it comes to inviting them into our home. The more we get involved in evangelism, the more souls that we can save. In this picture, you're going to see Miss Geneva, who Rob talked about last night. Miss Geneva and I, of course, are very, very close. And she would always talk to me about Miss Margie. And Miss Margie was always seeming to help her and the girls. And finally, one day, I said, "Well, Geneva, who is Miss Margie? You always talk about her." She says, "Well, she's one of the ladies that has moved in, and she's my neighbor, and she's been helping me." And I said, well, that's great. I said, "Well, have you thought about inviting her to services?" And she says, "Well, I have." And I said, "Well, that's good." And so it was one Sunday afternoon, they were together, her and the girls, and Geneva says, "Well, Margie, I'm going to go. I'm going to go to services, and the girls are going to services this evening." And she stopped her and says, "Where do you attend?" And she told her, and she said, "Is that congregation that sends out that publication?" And Geneva says, "Yes, it is." And she says, "Well, I've been thinking about going there. I really want to visit with them too. And so she said, well, why don't you come with us? And so she did. She came with Geneva. And so we were able to start building that relationship with her. And of course, we took her out to eat, as you can see in this picture. And then the next time, we ended up having her in our home. And Geneva was a wonderful asset in the study, and she could help us. And so she was able to be in that. And I'll never forget, during the last study, some of the things that Geneva had gone through, Miss Margie was going through. And so she was able to help her through this process, and we were so thankful for Geneva. And so she did. She obeyed the gospel, and we're so thankful for her heart. Many of our converts have said if we did not do this, they may not be Christians today. When we open our homes and take visitors out to eat, it can lead to a potential Bible study. The most important ingredient under Bible studies could be someone who wants to be a teacher or a silent partner. In 2 Timothy 2:2 it reads, "And the things that thou hast heard of me among many witnesses, the same commit thou to faithful men, who shall be able to teach others also." Ladies, we're not all going to feel comfortable in teaching, but we can be a silent partner to help with the study. The teacher needs to learn a method and become very familiar with it. At first, when I started learning how to do Back to the Bible, I had gone on the mission trip to Jamaica, and of course I've always was Rob's silent partner, but I realized that it was time for me to get out of my comfort zone and teach the women. And so I did. And of course, the more studies I've done, the more comfortable I've become in doing it. We definitely need more ladies to step up and become teachers and silent partner when teaching other women the gospel. I trained Hannah how to do one in Jamaica as well. She was always my silent partner, so she had watched me several times. And at this one campaign, the preacher's wife, Corinth Duncan, came up to her and says, "Hannah, there's a young lady that has been visiting for some time, and that she is interested in a Bible study. Would you be interested in teaching her the gospel?" And she said yes. And so I was able to be her silent partner while she taught the study. She was able to do it. And if you've seen Back to the Bible, it's easy, ladies. It's not complicated. And I tell you that the best thing that happened to me when Rob says I don't have to answer questions, boy, that just relieved me so much, because I was always scared that somebody was going to ask me a question and catch me off guard, and then I'm not going to know what to say to them, or I'm going to confuse them or something. So when he decided that we needed to not do that anymore, I was like, oh, whew, that was just like a weight lifted off my shoulders, because then I thought, I can do this. And so she taught this young girl, and she was baptized. And I'll never forget when we went back on the island of Jamaica. Of course, she's still a faithful member there, and she ran to Hannah and came and got her and says, "Hannah, I've got a friend. Will you teach her the gospel?" And so she was able to teach her friend the gospel as well. And to my knowledge, they are both faithful members of the church there in Jamaica. You never know when you will be asked to conduct one, and you will want to be prepared for when the time comes. We need ladies who will be willing to teach a Bible study, or one who will be a silent partner. Which one will you be? The most important ingredient under new converts is weekly mentoring. In Mark 1, 9 through 13, it reads, "And it came to pass in those days that Jesus came from Nazareth of Galilee, and was baptized of John in Jordan. And straightway coming up out of the water, he saw the heavens open, and the Spirit like a dove descending upon him. And there came a voice from heaven, saying, Thou art my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. And immediately the Spirit driveth him into the wilderness, and was there in the wilderness 40 days, tempted of Satan, and was with the wild beast, and the angels ministered unto him." If Jesus was tempted after he was baptized, so will the new converts. We want them to become well grounded so that they will always be faithful. We need ladies to help in this as well, whether it's 2 other ladies that have been working with a lady. We need your help. Mentoring ladies is very, very important in evangelism, because if we don't mentor them, we will lose them. And so we highly encourage, even on Sunday morning and Wednesday night, that they have a class for new converts, because new converts are not ready for an adult class. They've got lots of questions, and this is the time that we can answer those questions. And so that's why we want to give them that extra attention, because if we don't, we will lose them, because we see it time and time again when they do become Christians, their family attacks, their friends attack, and we have got to be there for them. And so we highly encourage those that are the mentors to get together with them at least once a week through the week, and do some kind of classes with them, whether you use the Growing in Christ or the Acts workbook. Also, David Farr has a book, The Beginning of Our Confidence. These are just good books that you can use to help new Christians to grow. This is a great opportunity just for them to open up to you, because they're going to need you at this point in their life. And so I think the number one question every time we go and do one of the seminars is, how many are faithful? And I can honestly say most of them are faithful that we have converted. And so, but it's due to having somebody mentoring them through the week. And there's a lot of ways that we can do this. One thing is, we never want to give up on these new converts that we've worked so hard to convert, because we know that the devil will work very hard to get them back. And as I said, whether it is they have a class and then they take them out to eat afterwards, or go for ice cream, the main thing is, as I said, you're building that relationship with them. The more people that we can get them connected with in the congregation, the better these results are going to be, and that they will remain faithful. We have had much success with our converts remaining faithful when we have people who are assigned to be our keepers. In summary, there are 8 ingredients to bringing souls to Christ. We can begin by learning how to knock doors, make and deliver new movers baskets, do some kind of community outreach, hand out visitor bags, sending cards to those in our community, take the visitors out to eat or have them in your home, teach a study or be the silent partner, or lastly, help keep the saved saved. I hope and pray that these things will help you in your congregational evangelism. And ladies, I realize that's a lot of information I have thrown out at you, but I leave you with my phone number and my email. Please feel free to contact me if you ever have any questions about anything. I will be more than happy to help in any way that I can, and I appreciate so much each and every one of you coming these past 3 days. You have been a joy to our family. We always look forward to coming here and training those. And as I said, please feel free to reach out to us because we're all in this together, ladies. And we can do this. We just have to figure out where we fit in this model. And hopefully I've been able to help you to realize that I can do these things. There's something for each one of us to do. And now is the time for us to get started and reaching out to those in our community. Thank you.
Okay, well, do you feel like your toolbox is full? We're ready, aren't we? I think we have all the tools that we need, and so thankful for you sharing all of that with us, because it gives us the confidence that we need to be able to go out and do what we're supposed to be doing. Just keep our eye on the mission, because as we know, as women, we get troubled and worried over those many things, don't we? Let's stay focused on the mission. Interestingly, there's a member here at Forest Hill who's not been able to attend any of the seminar, but he's been watching, and he was talking to his caregiver. His caregiver was talking about her religious experience. And fortunately, this member was paying attention, because he didn't laugh at her. He didn't scoff at her. He said, "Well, I guess you need to talk to somebody about that, don't you?" And she said, "I think I do." And so we have a contact. And so we want to be praying for her, because I don't mean to be presumptuous, but I have a feeling we'll be getting in touch with her tomorrow. So would you pray with me? Our merciful and righteous God above, thank you so much. It's the third day of the week and our cups are full. Father, you've allowed us to be admonished and edified, and you've challenged us. We're so grateful for what's been put in front of us, and we pray that we'll take the opportunities and that we will allow you to use us in any way that you see fit. We've seen tonight and this week already that there are so many different roles that need filled. Help us to find our places. Help us to recognize that each of us does have a role in this. Help us to keep our hearts and minds open and always ready and willing to get out of our comfort zones and to move forward and ahead for you and for your cause, keeping our eyes on the mission. Father, we pray for the one who is curious about discussing her religious experience, and we pray that that will go well and that her heart will be tender and that she'll be ready and willing to receive your word. Father, we love you and we love your servants and we love being your servants. Thank you so much for the Whitacres. Thank you for Nicole and Hannah being here tonight and for all the work that they do together as women. Thank you for Rob and Jared and the work that they do on their side. Each of them has such unique roles in this, and we pray that we'll allow our families to be a part of this as well. Father, we are so grateful to be a part of your church and that you've given us a job to do. Please help us to fulfill it. Help us to be brave and help us to go out and seek and to save the lost. We're so thankful for your Son and his willingness to come and teach us and to show us the way. And it's in his name that we pray. Amen. All right, ladies, thank you so much. I think you're dismissed now.